let me just say this. The reason why I'm concerned about inmates, I can't help it, because my greatest inspiration and my Savior and my Lord was an inmate himself. And so for me, as a minister of the gospel, I don't want the Lord to ever say to me, I was in prison, but you didn't come to visit me. You know what I'm saying? I was hungry, but you didn't feed me. I was naked, but you didn't clothe me. So whatever we do to what we consider the least of these, our brethren, we do it as unto the Lord. And so I think that we have a spiritual obligation to look out for those who are considered in society, the least of these, our brothers, because of their bond, but their bonds of incarceration. And because a person is incarcerated does not mean that their temporary incarceration can destroy their destiny. Yeah, I met Darrell Jones. Unfortunately, his son died. He was one of the victims of street violence in Boston. And Darren Howell from Chuck Turner's office, he said, hey, this young man's father is incarcerated, you know, and you need to go see him. And I said, okay, I'll see who can go see him. He said, no, Reverend, can you go see him? And I said, well, I don't do a lot of one-on-ones because it's just a lot, very time-consuming, you know. I speak to groups of inmates, and I said, I'm not sure that I can commit. He said, listen, you need to meet this guy. He's a different kind of inmate. You need to meet him. So anyway, subsequent to that conversation, I end up going to meet Darrell Jones, and he's very passionate about the violence that's going on in the street, anti-violence work, and he was very passionate about speaking up and forming relationships with people and doing whatever he could do behind the walls to curtail the violence. And he began to talk about a plethora of ideas that he had as it relates to violence, as it relates to the homicides in particular. And he spoke to the heart of the matter as it relates to what kids go through, what families go through when they're traumatized. And he was one of the few fathers who are incarcerated said, you know, I have done all I could to reach out and touch my children behind these walls through the various agencies that are out there. And he mentioned a number of agencies that failed him in his attempt to reach his son. And he said, I don't want the same thing to happen to other parents that happened to me because it fell on deaf ears. He said some of the judicial agencies failed and some of the social service agencies failed. And so he said, I know my part, and I was trying to do my part in spite of my incarceration to reach out. And so he began to share the vision that he had for how to reach out to kids who were caught up in the drama of the streets. And so the more I listened to him, the more I said, wow, he gets it. And I have been talking some similar things over the years, and people didn't seem to connect the dots between the streets and then those who are incarcerated, because they felt like, well, if they're incarcerated, what could they actually do? But they didn't realize they can make phone calls, they can write letters, they have what is called street credibility, you know, and some kids might listen to them before they might listen to me as a preacher, you know, or listen to a school teacher. And I'm a former school teacher too. And so as I was communicating and conversing with Darrell, I saw that he had a lot of ideas and that he had visions of positive things. And so he began to unfold some of those things and share some of those things with me. Yeah, first community meeting, if I can remember, Darrell shared his passion about all the inmates being treated fairly. You know, he shared his concerns about inmates being treated with a sense of humanity, and he shared the importance of it. And I understand that, because I know that if men or women come out of prison more angry, more upset because they were not dealt with the right way during their incarceration, we're not saying you have to kiss up to them, but we're saying that treat them with humanity. And so he began to talk about that. Chuck Turner chimed in, and he was real passionate about that, you know. And so Minister Don shared some very insightful things as well. And I think that type of positive leadership is what people need from inmates because they're owning what they're doing as it relates to while they're incarcerated. Let me be responsible and let me do what I can to be positive. Voices behind the wall, you know, it is a vision, and we've said it more than once or twice. And if you don't hear it, it's not because we're not saying it. It was a vision of Darrell Jones. It was a vision of Darrell Jones, you know, and that the vision that he had was to share videos as relates to what inmates are going through, how they can give back. The first one was an apology, which I thought was very admirable on the part of those who did not have to do it because it was not based on good time, and they shared from the heart. I know it was a concern of the administrators in terms of him being singled out as the leader per se, but they worked that stuff out and the message got out. But it all started from Darrell sitting with Darren, and then Darren telling me to sit with Darrell, and he talked about the Village project. He talked about the video project, which would come out of it. And he also talked about the fact that we could do video conferencing, which I think is a great idea because a lot of people can't get up to the prisons, and they don't make it that easy to go visit inmates. Bullying video, the anti-bullying video it's pretty much finished, and we have to get through some logistics, you know, and I'm looking forward to sharing it with people from across the Commonwealth. When anybody speak up in society about something positive, there always will be somebody or groups of people that will be upset at what they said, you know, or misinterpret what they said, or always have their own meaning to what they said. You know, I know it because it's happened to me, and so I understand the importance of us recognizing that everybody has free will to share what they want to share, and do it in such a way that they're informing, inspiring, and enlightening people. And that's what I saw. I didn't see Darrell inciting anything. I heard and I saw him dealing with truth. And Minister Don had mentioned about us making sure that we connect with his brother, that we watch out for this brother, and the people were saying, yeah, I understand that's important too because of the simple fact that he spoke up. It's just unfortunate that the real issues that need to be dealt with oftentimes are not dealt with because somebody will set up a smoke screen and take us away from the reality of what has to be dealt with the right way as it relates to incarceration. And we know that in our nation, too many black men and men of color are disproportionately incarcerated at a high rate. You know, that it's sad because we're feeding the prison pipeline when kids are in elementary school, when we don't want to deal with them and educate them, and we want to just deal with their behavior and not with their education. And so I think that what Darrell Jones has said, Mel King has said, what Chuck Turner has said, or what Darren Howell, Lynn Curry, all of them have all said collectively that there's some things that we need to stop before it happens as relates to the prison pipeline. But then while the brothers and the sisters are incarcerated, then we need to check on them, find out about them.